And just before we get into the podcast with the Duckman on Pulse FM 89.9 FM, I just want to say condolences to the family and friends and ex-teammates of Carl Webb, who passed away tragically from motor neurone disease today. So, Carl was aged 42 years, birthplace in Mount Isa in Queensland, had a wonderful career in the NRL, 187 games, 12 state of origins for Queensland, also represented Australia in the Anzac Test as well. So a great player in the NRL, and also played for the club that I love, the Parramatta Eels, as well. So condolences to the family and friends of Carl Webb. I know that the rugby league community is in mourning at the moment, the loss of another player or one of their own. So, look, thoughts are with everyone in the game of rugby league, and especially Carl's family and friends and ex-teammates as well. So, just wanted to say that before the chat with the Duckman as well. So, which we will also talk about as well a little bit in the podcast as well. So, rest in peace, Carl Webb.
Welcome to another episode of the Para Cave podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Para Cave.
And yes, welcome back to the Para Cave podcast, and it's Troy Warner here, and this is the replay chat of the talk that I had with the Duckman on Pulse FM 89.9 FM on your radio dial, or you can search it through the internet as well. I think through iHeartRadio you'll be able to see it there, but this is a replay chat of my part, and it's the last one for year 2023, and we just talk about a few highlights of the NRL season in 2023. We talk about the clubs as well. We talk about who impressed us as a club, who disappointed us as a club in the NRL, and we also talk about the NRLW as well. And we also, unfortunately, talk about the tragic passing of Carl Webb, who passed away from motor neurone disease. Carl played in the NRL for the Broncos, the Cowboys, and the club that I love, the Parramatta Eels, as well. So we talk about that, a little bit of a tribute to Carl Webb as well. So our thoughts and prayers go to Carl's family and friends and ex-teammates. So a little bit talk about that as well. So yeah, this is the last chat that I have with the Duckman for 2023. And hopefully I'll be back in 2024 on Pulse FM 89.9 FM on a Friday and a Sunday, I think it might be. So stay tuned for that one, and I hope you enjoy this chat, and thank you very much. I'd like to wish you, all the listeners here, a Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year as well. And look, thank you very much for supporting the podcast by listening to the podcast, each and every podcast that comes out. I really appreciate it. To those that have bought merchandise as well, I really appreciate that. You are supporting the podcast in a great fashion and look great as well, if I don't mind myself saying that as well. So thank you very much to that. Thank you very much to all the sponsors as well of the podcast. I really appreciate you supporting the Paracave podcast, and it really means a lot to me, and I appreciate it. Hopefully to bring you, the listeners, some bigger and better things as well. So in 2024. But finally, I should say, before I go any further, thank you to you, the listeners, for listening each and every week and each and every podcast as well. I really appreciate it. This is what I do. I do it for you guys, the fans. So I really hope you enjoy the content that comes your way each and every time. And first of all and last of all, I'll thank the family as well. Thank you very much for allowing me to do this, for the time that I put into doing this. I really appreciate that as well, and the support they give me in doing this. So thank you very much. Hopefully going to be back in about February next year, bigger and better, with the Paracave podcast. Hopefully going to try and do about, I'm going to try and do a podcast a day, maybe at least 5 a week. And look, if anything pops up in the rugby league world as well, I might have a little bit of a chat about that one as well. But obviously I'll have my chats with the Duckman on Pulse FM, 89.9 FM. So you'll see those replay chats. I'll have the Tuesday predictions as well of the weekend's rounds that are coming up as well. The Team List Tuesday NRL tipping podcasts. And we'll have hopefully have interview podcasts with a fan or fans and members of the NRL from various different clubs as well, and also hopefully some ex-players as well. Hopefully get some current players on the podcast as well for a chat about their careers so far as well. So that'll probably come out on a Thursday, and we'll try and do a game day preview as well with a celebrity fan or supporter of the club that's playing the Parramatta Eels as well. We might even chuck in a couple other extra little things as well. But if there's anything else that you'd like to hear on the podcast, please give me some feedback, let me know, and I'll get that happening. But anyway, you don't want to hear me. Let's get into the chat with the Duckman. So I'll hand over to him. Thank you very much once again. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and it's over to you, Duckman.
All right, there we go. That was a bit of Mariah Carey. All on Christmas is you, summer rage against Christmas. It is coming to an end. So as we get right on the death knell of Christmas, so I've got Troy Warner from the Paracave podcast on now. Troy, how are you going?
Oh, go fantastic, Duckman. Yeah, another great song there. Once played once again, and I'm sure people will love that across the weekend as we head into Christmas Day on Monday.
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you now, that's going to get flogged to death. The good news is I got in early and started doing it from the grand final onwards, so people should be well equipped with what they're going to get.
No, word for word.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I'm thinking I might just copy some CDs, burn some CDs for some of my family members and give it to them, and it can be a CD full of that. So,
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, have fun. So, and on the B-side, if you want to actually listen to the B-side, it can just be me talking about what the bits I like about the song or something like that. So, just to keep it all real. All right, so we're going to kick in here. So we've got you in now. We're going to be chatting about some of the highlights and lowlights and different things of rugby league. So the first thing that needs to be addressed, I think, is the unfortunate passing of Carl Webb, who died last night or passed away last night or early this morning from motor neurone disease after having like a 3 to 4 year battle with this. It's terrible, terrible news. I was giving everyone a rundown at the start of the show about some of the achievements he did. So you want to take us over some of that as well, and some of your highlights and memories of Carl?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Condolences to Carl's friends and families and ex-teammates, for sure. Devastating news today. Unfortunately, with the motor neurone disease, we all know that one day that the end is coming, but unfortunately it was shorter than some of the other people that we know of, unfortunately. But look, great player in the NRL, played 187 games in the NRL for the Broncos, Cowboys, and a handful of games for my club, the Parramatta Eels. Represented Queensland in State of Origin 12 times. Also represented Australia in the Anzac Test in 2008, which was the actual iconic game at the SCG, where the Greg Inglis flick back to Mark Gasnier for that try. Oh, the Mark Gasnier flick back, I think it was, for the Greg Inglis try. I can't remember what it was, but Carl played in that game, which was a pretty distinctive game, and also represented the Indigenous All-Stars a couple of times as well. So, memories of Carl, well, obviously that try in his debut State of Origin game for Queensland, where he bumped off about 3 or 4 defenders and scored out wide in the corner. The Q shaved into the side of his head in an Origin game. I think it might have been 2006, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, a very tough player. Didn't play that many games at Parramatta, but mostly known as his time at the Cowboys, and has been known as and regarded as one of the important signings in the North Queensland Cowboys history, along with Jonathan Thurston and Kevin Campion as well. He signed in 2005, so yeah, very instrumental signing there, and yeah, some sad news today.
All right, there we go. That's a bit of jingle bells from Michael Bublé. So apologies for that for anyone that's listening there. The call dropped out with Troy while we're chatting about Carl Webb. So as I said, Carl Webb passed away and all that sort of stuff, and just asked Troy some of his moments and memories, best memories of Carl Webb. So do you just want to go back through that again, Troy, so we can get catch the listeners up on the bits I may have missed, unfortunately?
Yeah, no, not a problem. Look, he played 187 games in the NRL for the Broncos, Cowboys, and the Parramatta Eels. Also represented Queensland on 12 times, 12 appearances, and represented the All-Stars 2 times, the Indigenous All-Stars, and also represented Australia in the iconic Anzac Test of 2008, and that is best probably remembered for the Greg Inglis knockback to Mark Gasnier to score that try at the SCG, and Carl played in that game as well. Also represented the PMs 13 as well. So, look, a great player, a very tough player. Certainly wouldn't want to be tackled by him or try to tackle him. Best memories, I guess, would be, like probably everyone, the try in his Origin debut for Queensland, where he bumped off about three or four defenders and scored in the corner. Also having the Q shaved in his head as well for an Origin game, and I think he held down Luke Bailey, I think it was, on the ground one day, as you do in Origin, and I'm not too sure if 50 Cuff started there, but
it was Boyd Cordner. I'm looking at the picture now.
Oh, really? Okay, I thought it was Luke Bailey, but so fisticuffs start in Origin as they do, and look, he was a tough bloke. Only just a couple of months ago, they had a charity game for his charity foundation, the Carl Webb Foundation, up in Queensland at the Dolphin Stadium, and a few legends of the game played in that game, and it was good to see Carl there at the game as well. So, and it's just been announced too that the Broncos versus the Cowboys game, I think they're going to work together with the Carl Webb Foundation and the family, and recognise that as that annual clash, and raise money for the Carl Webb Foundation. So yeah, a devastating loss for the world of rugby league.
Yeah, it's right. So I think the Broncos have done a lot. So Carl Webb, in the scheme of things for the amount of games that he played for the club, they're doing way over and above what they probably need to do. But the rugby league community is very strong and networking, we're getting around helping people out. So the same thing happened when Paul Green unfortunately passed away last year. So it's good to see these things happening. So, and I'm sure I haven't seen what the Cowboys have done yet online. So, but I know that the Broncos have done a tribute and a veil to Carl Webb and talked about his career and his achievements, and talked about the records he's got with lifting and that stuff with them, which is huge. He's still got the 180 kilo bench press record, and like the back squat there, 252.5 kilos. That is huge for anybody, right? So they're going to be records that are going to be at the club for quite a while. So it's people will be aspiring to better. And he was, from what I can tell, he was a pretty bubbly guy. People like being around him. Unless you were, actually, it was Luke Bailey in the picture. I thought Floyd Cordner, but it wasn't. It was Luke Bailey. So unless you're like one of the enforcers, because he was an enforcer, so
yep.
he could throw him as well a bit. So when he got into having a crack at boxing, he didn't do so well, and that got touched up in his first actual professional fight that he had. But he could box, he could fight. He probably could have gone down that avenue as well. So
just for the listeners out there as well, currently on Fox League on Foxtel, they're doing a Carl Webb memorial, not a memorial, like replays of those State of Origin games. Also, they had I think Yvonne Sampson had a face-to-face interview with Carl a few months ago as well, so they're replaying that as well. So they're honouring the memory of Carl Webb.
Yeah, and that's really good that they're doing that too. So it's tragic too, because it's so close to Christmas, and he's married with 4 kids, from what I understand. So like it's going to be very hard for the whole family now going forward. But they will work their way through it. It will be tough, but especially being the first Christmas for kids, so it's going to be very difficult. But I imagine it might have been something he was anticipating, and it did bring it up with everybody before. The lifespan of a person that gets motor neurone disease, it's only 2 to 3 years. It's not very good at all once you find out that you've got it. No,
definitely not. And we think of everyone who does have that, and hopefully they can raise some money and find a cure for that. And obviously, again, most notable, I guess you could say, sufferer of motor neurone disease is Rob Burrow over in England. We've seen him go through his struggles, so we obviously wish him all the best in his struggles as well at the moment as well. But yeah, he would probably be one of the most high profile former rugby league players with this terrible disease.
Yeah, that's right. I can't believe Rob Burrow, what's happened with him, because he was a very fit professional athlete, played for years, played in England and all this sort of stuff as well. And now, if you've seen him now, he's very, very, very small, withered away. It's really, really taken its toll on his body and like his movements and that. And the English Super League and all the clubs and players, they do a lot for him, and very glad that they do, because you'd be completely alone, and you're 100% dependent on other people to do stuff for you when you got motor neurone disease, which is not flash. We'll kick on, but so I want to have a look at some of the highlights of the year. So we might start off with the NRLW. So big highlights for me to start off with, the expansion from 6 teams to 10 teams. So that is a big positive step forward. So you're happy with that and how that all went this year with like who came in with 6 sides? Canberra, the Sharks. Sorry, the 4 sides are coming. Canberra, Sharks, West
Queensland.
Tigers?
Yeah, North Queensland and West Tigers, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So, and Canberra did very well. They impressed a lot of people. So the Sharks have been kicking for a bit, so they were going to end up with a side in it. Like I think you'll see Penrith have a side in it the next couple of years, and probably Warriors as well. But yeah, it's good. So overall, I was impressed with the level of competition, and ultimately the Knights won the comp. But it looked like, seriously, until like the last 5 minutes, it could have gone to the Titans easy in the grand final.
Yeah, for sure. It was a great grand final between the Knights and the Titans. Jamie Chapman scored 3 tries in the grand final, and you think when you score 3 tries in a grand final that you think you're going to go on and win it, but not the same for Ezra Mam as well for the Broncos, who scored 3 tries as well. But yeah, look, that Tamika Upton, she was the NRLW Player of the Year and well deserved. I think made her Test debut for the Jillaroos this year as well in the end of season tests. And look, the Knights are a little bit of a stranglehold on the competition at the moment. They're going back to back. They're going for the 3-peat next year, and they've got some great players there. The Southwell sisters leading the charge, and look, they'll be the hunted again next year, and Look, it started off 5 years, 6 years ago, and the Broncos were the team that were just winning the competitions every year. But now it's the tide has turned, and the Newcastle Knights are doing it. But it's great to see those new sides in the competition. And as you said, I think the Panthers are looking for in a couple of years' time to put a team in. I think the Bulldogs as well are looking for a couple of years as well to put a team in as well. So these teams are these clubs are looking to put in NRLW teams. It's just a matter of when. And look, I think the talent is there, and I think it was pretty evenly sort of spread this year. And I think it can only get better. The State of Origin series was great, and the great news is that next year it's going to go to 3 games instead of 2.
Yeah, for sure. So one thing I like is the Lisa Fiola Cup and the Tasha Gale Cup, which are the levels below for the juniors. There's stacks of talent. All the clubs have sides in this, so there's some really good talented players coming through Canterbury, coming through Penrith and all this sort of stuff. But they're young, right? So they're going to come in. They will be the future of the game. So they're going to take a couple of years to develop. So even if they come in, they did like what the Eels did this year and come near the bottom of the table, that won't matter. Like even for the Eels, that won't matter in particular. I imagine they're going to have some fair turnaround next year because now they've got all these inexperienced players. They've got a lot more experience playing against some of the older heads. So that will be good for the competition. So I imagine we'll see this equalise and level out a bit like what's happened with the AFLW, where literally most of the sides can win pretty much week in, week out in any game, which is what you want. You want it to be competitive all of the time. So I can only see good things coming from this moving forward, and hopefully it gets to the stage where they play at least 2 full rounds against each other. And I think that's going to be good for the competition when it does happen.
Yeah, for sure. We've seen that the women's game is definitely growing. Participation rates are getting up there, and there's more opportunity for younger girls to play rugby league than there was back in the day. So that can only be a good thing. So there's going to be a bit of talent come through the grades, and as you mentioned, those lower tier competitions as well. And there was also the Harvey Norman Premiership as well is before the NRLW competition as well. So yeah, look, the women's game is on the rise, and the games are really great to watch.
Yeah, so that's what I want to see. So it's going to keep going. It will keep building. I like that it stands on its own 2 feet as well. So they're not making these token games. I probably could have stood on its own feet for the grand final as well, you know. But it's good if you're going to have showcase grand final events that they all play on the same day, because then they're going to get the same crowds as everybody else, as opposed to having to go to some other venue, which can detract from it a little bit. So I think there's positive steps. So we'll see you in 2024. Hope we keep on seeing more improvement in the women's rugby league space. All right, so NRL, let's have a look at this. So we'll go through the table here, 1 to 17. So we'll start off 17 because we know the Panthers won. So Tigers finished in last place there on 14 points. The Dragons second last on 16. Strange enough on 16 points. The Bulldogs 15th on 20. Titans 14th on 24. Dolphins 13th on 24. Seagulls 12th on 29. 30 points come in the Cowboys 11th, along with the Eels, who were in 10th, and Rabbitohs, who were in 9th. The Raiders were in 8th on 32. Roosters 7th, 32. Sharks 6th on 34. Then, like, the business end started getting up there. The Knights, I have to say, are a surprise packet of the comp for the year at the moment, because they come in 5th on 35. For all money, I thought that Adam O'Brien was going to get sacked. So he was one of my favourites at the start of the year to get sacked. The Warriors come in 4th on 38. Storm 3rd on 38. Broncos 2nd on 42, and the Panthers won it on 42 and took out the minor premiership as well. So I actually genuinely thought about 6 games from the end, Panthers might not win the minor premiership. It could go down to the Broncos, and I think the Broncos really needed to probably have a crack at it a couple of games from the end when they rested all the good players. I probably would have rolled the dice and tried to go for it, because what is it, an extra 100, 150 grand or something for winning the minor premiership, and they would have got different games. They might have had an easier run into the grand final, and that might have made it easier for them on the day, because they took it all the way to the Panthers.
Yeah, look, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because, as you said, the Broncos didn't play their full strength side in that last round against the Storm, and potentially could have cost them that minor premiership. But I guess that's just the coaching of Kevin Walters, and he'll probably learn from that, and maybe we may see that same situation happen again next year. And he was pretty confident of what he did was the right thing, but look, he'll learn for that. But some of my top three highlights from the year were probably the resurgence of the New Zealand Warriors this year. They were looking at a stage there where they were going to be second in the competition, and look, they had the whole country behind them, and pretty much they were everyone's second team in Australia as well. And during the Rugby Union World Cup, they were actually more popular than the All Blacks as well. And the form of Sean Johnson, he turned the clock back. So that was one of them. The other one was Dominic Young's tries as well throughout the year, and especially in the last round as well. He's just so athletic and amazing, and he gets his body into positions that in the air to score a try. And there was one against the Dragons there in the last round, and I don't know how he got that ball in the in goal, but it was amazing. And if rugby league wants to be selling to the Americans, that's something that they should be showing them for sure. So the Knights have lost a good one, and the Roosters have got a good one next year. And also, I'm probably going to say my last highlight of the year was probably the two Queensland fullbacks, to be honest. So Kalen Ponga, who obviously won the Dally M medal, and he had a bit of a checkered start to the year as well. I think got concussed in round 2 and then took some time off and went to, I think, Canada to get some treatment, and also to see about and learn more about concussion as well. But then he led Newcastle, I think it was to 11 wins in a row. And the other Queensland fullback as well was Reece Walsh, who went back to Brisbane this year from the New Zealand Warriors, and he made his Origin debut for Queensland. He had a minor setback after a suspension there in the season, but he came back, he matured, and he led Brisbane to the grand final.
Yeah, that's right. So we'll have a look at the clubs a bit. So we'll take Panthers out, because Panthers have been a benchmark the last probably 4 years. Even when they lost to the Storm, you could see they were building, and they were going to build on and kick on there. Who do you reckon the three clubs there would be the most disappointing? If I had to have a look, so in regards to disappointing seasons, I'm not really looking at West Tigers and Dragons because they didn't have the personnel. I'm thinking the three most disappointing, and then the three most prominent, or three with the best promise. The disappointing ones would have to probably be, I reckon you're looking at Rabbitohs. Sydney Roosters saved it at the bell, so probably the Rabbitohs, maybe the Eels, and the Bulldogs with the squad that they had. They really should have done more. So they would be saying that they didn't have good seasons. So saying that Bulldogs on a normal year might have done better than third last, except the competition was so close this year. From 6th place down to, so we'll go 34 down to 29, 6 to 12. There's only 5 point split in it. So there's a whole big bunch of people in the middle there. But the Rabbitohs, I would say they would not be happy with where they came at all. They probably would have expected higher. Probably the Eels, after making the grand final the year before, probably expected to be a bit higher. So could have probably made the top 8. The Roosters, like I said, saved it at a bell. Otherwise, their season was a disaster. And so I think with they had at their disposal this year, they would have thought they'd get more out of their team.
Yeah, look, I think it's probably the biggest disappointments from this year are positions 9, 10 and 11. We saw those three sides make the prelim final last year, and we saw the Eels make the grand final last year, as you said. So probably those three sides are probably the biggest disappointments of 2023. The Rabbitohs, they were leading the comp, I think, halfway through the year, and they just struggled with injury and Origin, and Latrell wasn't playing much either. So they struggled to get into the 8. Obviously, Parramatta, they had their suspensions, they had injuries, they had 22 weeks, I think, of suspensions. So Sean Lane was injured for at least 12 weeks, I think, as well. And the Cowboys, well, they were set the world on fire last year and made the prelim final hosted the Parramatta Eels, and they just never clicked into gear, I don't think. So, look, I'd probably say those three sides. The Bulldogs, look, they're still sort of building, I think. With their players that they have, they've signed a lot of players for next year, so they're still in a rebuilding phase, I guess you could say. So they'll be disappointed, obviously, but the only way is up for them.
Yeah, that's right. I think the three happiest sides too. The sides have been the biggest turnaround. The Broncos definitely, also along with the Warriors, and then the third would be the Dolphins. They'd be very happy, but they didn't come last. They were expected to shoe it in and come last by a fair bit, and they were looking pretty good until it got in the meaty end of the season and they started to lose a few players and lacked a little bit of squad depth. But the experience and rise of players like Isaiah Katoa, along with the experienced guys they've got, is very good. So they'll be much better for it next year. I suppose the Titans would have been hoping they did a little bit better, because when they flicked Justin Holbrook, they were coming ninth, I'm pretty sure, and were looking like they'd be on the fringe of making the top 8. And then, they just dropped off too.
Yeah, so agree. I think the Dolphins, they'll be happy, but probably a little bit disappointed about their season, but they'll be happy about that. I mean, the first year in an NRL competition is definitely pretty difficult, but as you said, a lot of people did expect them to be down the bottom of the table, but they started off the season really well, winning some games. They beat the Roosters in round 1, and they won a couple of other games on the trot as well. So look, it's only a learning curve. They've got Herbie Farnworth going there next year, Tom Flegler as well, so a couple of Broncos going to the Dolphins, so they'll only go a bit better. The Titans, they've got Des Hasler there next year, so Des, we all know, rules a roost there at their clubs that he coaches at, so I think the Titans are only better and will only get better. And look, if we can see the form that David Fafita can play, they've got Big Tino there as well, they've got a decent forward pack. If we can see Jaden Campbell and AJ Brimson stay fit throughout the year, then anything can happen, because they've got a try-scoring machine on the wing, Khan Pereira, so he knows how to score a try or two, so if they can get the ball out to him, then anything can happen. But along with the Dolphins, I think, as you said, the Broncos definitely, the Warriors and the Newcastle Knights for me were probably really big improvers on 2022. As I said, the Knights winning, I think it was 11 in a row, so that's a pretty mean feat to do that in the NRL.
Yeah, it's a huge improvement. I really did expect they'd probably be in the bottom 3. So what they did turned it around, help having Kalen Ponga available after his break. And Adam O'Brien, he did show that he can coach. I actually wondered if he could get the business done, and he proved that he can. So look at top point scorers and try scorers now. So Dominic Young, as I said before, 25 tries, took it out from Jermaine Asako. So the funny thing about Jermaine Asako, picked up 24 tries for the team that comes 13th or something, and he was the top point scorer, 244 points. Imagine how good he would have done if the Dolphins were smoking it. Like, fair dinkum, he'd be on 300 points.
Yeah, look, Jermaine Asako, he had a massive year again, like Sean Johnson. He turned back the clock. Jermaine Asako, he played for the Titans and the Broncos as well, but this year he made a home for himself at the Dolphins. As you said, top point scorer in the competition, and played for New Zealand at the end of the year in the Pacific Championships. So yeah, look, he had a great year. And Dominic Young, look, I think if he can get some decent ball out the Roosters, I think he will score some tries. The only thing will be is you've got Daniel Tupou on the other wing as well, so they like to put the high ball up across the field for Daniel. But I mean, Dominic's pretty tall as well, so now they've got 2 tall timbers on each wing, so they've got options either side of the field to put those cross-field kicks over to either get the knockback and the centre goes in for a try, or the winger goes in for a try. So it'd be interesting to see if he can back that up and get the top try scorer again next year. But I actually think it'll probably be Alex Johnston. I think he's only 25 tries behind Ken Irvine, the all-time try-scoring record holder in Australia. So, look, I'm going to make the bold prediction that he'll break it next year to become the greatest ever try-scorer in rugby league in Australia. So, that's 25 tries. I'm pretty sure he's done that before in a season, and I think he can probably get that one done next year.
Yeah, wow, that will be big if they do that. If he can do that all over again, that'll be very interesting indeed. So, I want to have a look, trying to work out. So, he'll do all right at the Roosters too, Dominic Young, as long as he stays away from your mate who's out of, what's my mate's 5'8" at the Roosters that I just can't stand. So he annoys me so bad I like to forget his name.
Luke Keary.
No, Luke Keary's all right. So it's that other donut that plays in the centres as well. So
Joey Manu.
That's it, Joey Manu.
He's a great player.
Yeah, great. So if you're staying on the other side of the park, Dominic Young's going to score tries because Joey Manu is all about himself. So, and he'll find that out next year. So other notable things there in the point scorers, Nick Meaney come in second. So he had a really big year too, I think. He's pretty underrated at Melbourne Storm, really.
Yep.
And try scorers had Greg Marzu get a stack there, 22 for the Knights as well. And Dallin Watene-Zelezniak got a stack of tries there for the Warriors, 24. Probably needs to work on his defence next year, so that cost him the semi-final game. He needs to do that. Runs for the year, so total runs. Dylan Edwards smashed it, so no big surprise. His kick returns are massive. Charles Nickel-Clockstad surprised me, coming number 2 there. And then Marcelo Montoya there in number 3. So big adds there for Warriors. You can see how the Warriors were so good. And then you've got Sean Johnson up there, 29 try assists, so an average 1.2 a game. That's huge. He pipped Nico Hines there at the post, who was on 28, and Reece Walsh at 26. So his open field running, I genuinely think, makes him the most explosive fullback in the whole NRL. He'd be very hard to shut down. When Penrith shut him down last year in the grand final, if he had got running doing different stuff, Penrith had problems. They're lucky that the 3 tries come from Ezra Mam and they all come quickly. That I really think they did a pretty good job on Reece Walsh shutting him down. So, but other than that, it's a big year all around. So let's look at some of the line breaks and offloads. So Ronaldo Mulatalo, 33 line breaks there. So from Dominic Young, second to 32. So you can see how the next top 2 try scorers there, and Jermaine Asako, 30. These guys breaking the line, doing a lot of stuff. So they've been massive additions for their sides, and that's what it did so well. Jermaine Hopgood, 56 offloads, leading the offloads for the competition. That is massive
Offload king, Jermaine.
And I didn't think Bryce Cartwright played that many games to get 52 offloads, to be honest with you. So I thought he was only fringe playing for Parramatta this year. So Brian Kelly, no surprise there. The Warriors really have done some massive stuff. Brian Kelly was playing with the Titans. So David Fafita, if you had to pick a headline next year, what do you think the headline's going to be that's going to change football? What will be the different sort of standout one? So I can think of one off the top of my head now about a couple of players that will probably be up there, like a positive headline, not negative ones.
A positive headline. Geez, you stumped me with that one. You mentioned David Fafita there, so I think I'll have to go with him, and I think it'd be something like, he goes back to Origin and carves New South Wales up, and he's just scoring tries left, right, and centre for the Titans.
Yeah, that's what Bob. So that's one of the 2. So the other one, the big one, I think will be. So this is probably a bit of an outsider. We'll see how it goes. Is Ryan Pappenhausen? I reckon he'll be back, and he's going to light the world back on fire. So he'll come back and do a really good job. So I think that'll be the big thing next year.
The other one that some other people have mentioned as well is Tommy Turbo as well for Manly Sea Eagles. He should be back next year, and he'll be eager to get back into the action and expect a big season from him as well for the Manly Sea Eagles.
Yeah. So a question now. So apparently a third club's come out and said they want to sign Jerome Luai. So Jerome Luai he's denying that he's accepted a contract at the moment. So he goes, I haven't signed anything, man. Like, alrighty, okay. So the Bulldogs offered him a contract apparently and he's declined it, and a third club have come out and offered one. So are we assuming the third club St George Illawarra?
Well, they're always in the news as to trying to sign players. They missed out on Adam Fanua-Blake the other day. So who knows? I mean, it really is a little bit of a saga going on, isn't it? The Jerome Luai contract situation. I mean, a lot of people are saying that he has signed with the Tigers or agreed with the Tigers, and it's just about the 10-day cooling off period, so we'll have to wait until, I guess, after Christmas to see what's going on there. Maybe in Jerome Luai standards and fashion, he's going to give his fans a big Christmas present, or Tigers fans a big Christmas present or something, a big Christmas post on Instagram saying, yes, it's confirmed or something like that. Who knows? But that wouldn't surprise me if it was from Jerome Luai, something like that. Yeah, so look, at the end of the day, I think he will go to the Tigers, and I guess it's just a matter of whether these other clubs can match the money that the Tigers are going to give Jerome Luai.
Yeah, that's right. So I think it is going to be over. Whatever he does is going to be overboard. He'll come out before it goes full public. I just can't see him sitting there quietly and go, oh yeah, I just signed for the West Tigers. No, it's going to be something big. Yeah. It'll be on Instagram and X and whatever else. I don't know. It's got a lot of social media things going on, I can tell you. So it'll be massive. Troy, thanks for your time tonight. I really am looking forward to seeing what happens with this Jerome Luai stuff now, because it's just dragging on forever. I want it to come to an end, but I want it to come to an end so I actually know what's happening as well, because it is kind of exciting. And I think the Tigers want the 10 days to come to an end, because then they're going to get it finalised, and he's going to help attract more players as well, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And I think rugby league fans just want it over as well, so they can concentrate on season 2024.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for joining us tonight, Troy. What do you got happening over Christmas?
Just catch up with the in-laws on Christmas Day. Should be a good family event, as it always is. A few laughs and great food, and a few drinks as well. So looking forward to that. Work the next couple of days, so that'll be busy in the retail sector. But look forward to it. So probably have the old man afternoon nap on Christmas Day and watch Christmas Vacation, National Lampoons in the night time.
Yeah, you're going to watch the NBL that's on Christmas Day this year, so considering it's on?
Nah, look, I might flick it over, but I'll probably definitely watch Christmas Vacation, National Lampoons, and then definitely tune in for the first ball of the Boxing Day Test. It's a bit of a tradition over Christmas time. Yeah,
100%. So I'll definitely watch that as well. So for anyone that does want to watch the NBL, so it's the Kings against Illawarra Hawks, 7:30. So the testing, they're playing with fire here. They're going to find out if this works or not this year. So it's at wherever the Kings are playing these days. So Homebush or something, I don't know where they're playing now.
Bank Arena, I think. And look, it's a very interesting strategy to play a professional sport on Christmas Day. So yeah, look, who knows how it's going to go, but time will tell.
Yeah. So for all listeners that are out there, I just want to thank Troy for the year, for all his contributions. So it's come on plenty of times now, well out of the season, chatting about stuff. Subjected him every single week. He has to listen to All I Want for Christmas Is You every time in the lead up to Christmas. So it's been good, and there's going to be stacks more coming on 2024. Look forward to having you on again next year. We're going to take it away with one thing, but let's do a bold prediction now. Who do you reckon is going to win the comp 2024?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you very much for having me on throughout 2023. I really appreciate it, and I've enjoyed it immensely and look forward to 2024. And as for a bold prediction, look, This is going to be very bold, and look, I'd love to say Parramatta Eels win the competition, but if I had to pick another team other than the Parramatta Eels, then I'm going to say the New Zealand Warriors will win the competition next year.
Yeah, there you go. So they'll win their first if they can do that. So Andrew Webster is building a very good team. I actually think that the Broncos went close this year. I think they'll go closer next year, and they're going to pick up the grand final. So I do think they can do it. I think sooner or later the loss of players Penrith have got is going to start to hurt them. So they've got stacks more players coming through, but you keep losing 150 game experienced players here and there all over the place. It's going to take its toll sooner or later.
Yeah, look, I mean, they're a champion side, the Panthers, and that nobody's won 4 competitions in a row since the Dragons in the 50s and 60s. So Parramatta went down to Canterbury 6-4 in 1984 when they were going for their 4-peat. So, look, it's going to be tough for Penrith. They did it a little bit tough this year, but they still came out on top, and they'll be the hunted again next year. And as you said, the Broncos, they're going to give it a real good shake. They'll learn from this year, and hopefully they can do it again, get back to that grand final. Because, I mean, a losing grand final side, that's what they always want to do. They want to get back to the grand final and do one better. So it'll be interesting to see how they go. But yeah, I'm gonna tip the Warriors. Bold prediction in 2023 for 2024.
Yeah, there we go. So that'll be a good one. We'll see how that goes. Troy, have a fabulous Christmas, and I'll catch you back in the new year, probably for listeners. So I haven't checked the calendar dates at the moment, probably talking about February, something like that. So going to have a little bit of a break now from rugby league and all this sort of stuff, and eat this 24/7 cricket that's going on.
No worries, Duckman. Thank you very much for having me. Merry Christmas to you and all the listeners out there as well. Have a Merry Christmas and a safe one and a happy one, and hope Santa is good to you, and thank you very much, and look forward to 2024.
Absolutely. There you go. Thanks, Troy. I'll chat to you again soon.
Thanks, Duckman.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Parramatta Podcast. See you next time.